What is up, YouTube? My name is Miss V, and welcome back to my channel, Miss V's Mathies. I'm officially deeming myself y'all's math auntie, so that's just my new title. So today what we're going to be talking about is some more vocabulary for geometry. So we're going to go ahead and just jump right into it, okay? As y'all know, I write on my iPad as I record these videos, so I'm going to be looking down, so don't mind me, okay? But like I said, we're going to go ahead and do some more vocabulary. Okay. Some more vocabulary. Okay. So some more important vocabulary for geometry. We have something called a linear pair. Okay. And just by the word linear pair, all you got to know is that it is a pair of angles that makes a line, okay? So a linear pair is a pair of angles that makes a line. Linear pair, very simple. So for example, we know from our last video that an angle has two rays joined by a common endpoint. So this right here is going to be angle A, let's say, and then this one over here is going to be angle B. So those two angles, when I add them together, since they're a linear pair, angle A plus angle B is going to equal 180 degrees. Because remember from last video, we talked about how a straight line measures 180 degrees and a right angle is 90 degrees. We talked about that last time. So that's a linear pair. We also have something called supplementary angles. So the difference between supplementary angles and a linear pair is that for supplementary angles, we can have more than two. Okay, so for example, supplementary angles, they still add up to 180. So they're angles that add up to 180. But now in this case, with supplementary angles, instead of only just having two angles, I can have 3 or 4 or 5 angles. Normally, though, you're not going to see that many angles, but you'll see, let's say, A, B, and let's pick another color, C. Okay, so same thing as a linear pair, they're still all going to add up to 180. The only difference is that now we have more than two angles, okay? Plus angle B plus angle C is going to equal 180 degrees still, okay? And by the way, don't mind the lighting in here, y'all. For the first time ever, I have really good lighting, but it's a little bit too good. The sun is just streaming through the back, so it's a little extra today, but I like it though. Those are those are our supplementary angles. So now we also have something called complementary angles. So instead of supplementary angles, complementary angles are angles that add up to 90 degrees. That add up to 90 degrees, okay? So over here we have a right angle. And again, with complementary angles, you could have more than two. I'm just putting 2 here because why not? So angle A plus angle B equals 90 degrees. By the way, I noticed I didn't say anything about this notation. This little guy right here, this means angle, okay? So whenever you see that, like not an L, but kind of like a little bit close. So this is an acute angle, reviewing some old vocabulary. An acute angle like this, that is the notation in geometry for angle, okay? So those are complementary angles, supplementary angles, a linear pair. We also have something called vertical angles. Vertical angles. And these angles, I'm going to go ahead and draw it first because it's a lot easier to draw it to explain it after I draw it. So for example, this angle A and this angle B, these are considered a pair of vertical angles because they're right across from each other. They're vertical to each other in a way, okay? So these are right across from each other. Those two angles would be considered vertical angles. And vertical angles are congruent, okay? That's a very important property about them. If you guys want to see the proof of why they're congruent, I'll go ahead and talk about it in my next video. Not plus, equals, okay? So those angles are congruent. And let's say over here, if we have, let's change the color. Let's say this is angle C and angle D. Then angle C is going to equal angle D, okay? All right, so we got vertical angles, trying to think of some other vocab for y'all that's important. Talked about supplementary angles, complementary, a linear pair, and vertical angles. So right now, those are the most important ones that I can think of at the top of my head. One vocabulary word that I did not mention last video was a vertex, okay? And the vertex is this little guy right here, okay? So that right there is the vertex of your angle, okay? So it's basically the corner of your angle. And a vertex is the same thing, even in like if I draw a rectangle, the vertices of the rectangle are all of these little points where they connect, okay? So that's a vertex. I realized I didn't talk about that in my last video. All right, so I think that's it for this one. There's some more vocab that I'm going to be throwing at you guys, but instead of just being, you know, angles on their own, I'm going to talk about what happens when we have parallel lines cut by something called a transversal, okay? So stay tuned for my next video so you can watch that and you can get a better understanding of those concepts. But until then, y'all, enjoy, be safe out there, and I'll see y'all in my next video. Bye.